Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Libra and Leo rising. Wow, this sounds like a really fun combination. So we're talking about air and fire. And I remember once I met this man on the street and we became friends. And he asked me what sign I was. And I said I was a Sagittarius. And he told me he was a Libra. And he said that air fans the flames, you know. And I always like that, always stuck with me. So when you have air and fire as a combination like that within your own chart, these are compatible elements. And if they are within a certain degree span, they will actually be considered a sextile. And the great thing about that is that how you want to be is in alignment with how you're presenting yourself, like it's harmonious. Because a lot of times that's part of the problem is that a person might dress a certain way and then they wonder why people respond to them in the way that they're dressing when they go, don't they see that I'm really this, but you're dressed like that? And yes, of course, those kind of things that are superficial, but it still is the way that the person is expressing themselves. And that's why it's coming across like that. So I think that when you have, it doesn't have, I don't even think it has to be an official harmonious angle for it to still be something where there's a continuity, where there isn't like this clash. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. So the ascendant or the rising sign is the cusp of the first house of the self. So it really is your calling card when you're out and about, when you're interacting with other people. This is what, comes up. And so when Libra is when Leo is the rising sign, that person is going to enter a room with a very dramatic flair. The type of person who is larger than life, I always say, very theatrical, makes an entrance. That's the best way of putting it, right? You make an entrance. And there's a warmth with Leo. So the person is going to make other people feel at home very easily because they're exuding this warmth. If somebody is aloof, standoffish, that's going to kind of make other people feel uncomfortable. And so you just exude a lot of warmth and positivity. And with Leo at the ascendant, the type of clothing you may prefer might be very brightly colored. I always like talk about Las Vegas types of clothing, like off, a lot of I don't know, glitter or gold lame. I know I'm exaggerating. You might favor yellows, golds, maybe red. I don't know. I think gold would be associated with Leo because Leo is ruled by the sun. So you're ruled by the sun, and even in the tarot, the sun is probably the most positive card. So a sunny disposition, a regal disposition, someone who is very confident, who can walk into a situation and just have that sense of themselves. That's true of all fire signs, but Leo for sure. Leo in astrology rules the fifth house, which is creative self expression. So people who our Leo risings are natural hams. Yeah, I mean, you could say attention seeking sometimes. Um, and hopefully, this person has, well aspected sun and things like that, so that they're not seeking attention through negative attention, which is what drama is all about. When people are drama, full of drama, and also kind of like trying to generate it, it's because they don't have the sense of an outlet, a positive outlet for most likely um, skills as a performer of some sort. So when you have Leo rising, all the world's a stage. And so you may actually want to be a performer. Let's see. So your midheaven would be Taurus, and that is ruled by Venus. Your midheaven is the cusp of your 10th house of career. So I could see that. I could see somebody who's in the theater, somebody who is maybe a singer, dancer, whatever, actor, and that may be something that you grow up with, because I feel like the rising sign can really be from when you're young. And this, you might be the child who was the star of the family in some cases. So maybe you got a lot of attention as a child. And sometimes that might build up the confidence, because the the parents are like put pouring a lot of attention onto you, and things like that. But of course, there can always be the negative side of that if you are in a family where you're raised by a narcissist, where you are the golden child, you are the child that is favored, but it's not, it's a sick system. So it's not coming from a positive place. So in those types of scenarios, that child may be not getting along with their brothers and sisters, because they resent that child for getting all the attention. And and I think in those cases, the child intrinsically knows that it really isn't about them. The parent is using that child's talent as a way to feel important themselves. So they're living vicariously through the child, but they're using the child. So um, hopefully you have had a relatively balanced upbringing. I think having the sun in Libra enhances that. Libra as a sun sign means that you want to be fair in life. You want other people to have a piece of the pie. There's a natural graciousness with Libra. And I think part of it comes from that sense of fair play. So that helps tame any diva tendencies of the Leo rising. And actually, I've done plenty of videos with the combination of Scorpio and Leo, because those two signs square off or form a hard angle to one another. And I do think that when people have that combination with their, with a personal, at least one personal planet and the Scorpio energy, that there can be this difficulty in the personality. There might be some kind of ego issues at play. But with the Libra energy, even if it doesn't form an angle, I still think that the person may be influenced to behave in a way that is socially acceptable. I was going to say the Leo by itself, that could be a different story, because fire signs, I'm a Sagittarian, and Aries is the other fire sign. We tend to be arrogant. We tend to have that side to ourselves, and or at least be perceived that way. I don't think that we necessarily are arrogant, but um, somebody says you're full of yourself. Yes, the self, the understanding of us as individuals. So with the Libra, there is this detachment with air that allows a person to kind of not necessarily be so emotional, because fire can be emotional just like water. And so that is very helpful. Look to your moon sign, though, because that can um, tip the scales a little bit. For instance, you might have the moon in Scorpio. So what I just said about uh, not having the Scorpio influence there, you might have it there. And Libra, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? You might have inner planets in Scorpio, because Libra is right next to Scorpio. So maybe you have Mars in Scorpio squaring off to your ascendant. And something like that could create an impression that sullies that warmth of the Leo, because you want to maybe sometimes you will for things to happen, and when they don't, you might get a little bit bent out of shape. That sense of your pride might tip over into egotism. So yeah, definitely look at whether you have Scorpio placements with the personal planets, forming a hard angle to the ascendant or even the moon. But with the sun in Libra, there's also a love of art, artistic endeavors. So you certainly could be upholding that natural inclination that you may have had as a child to be on stage and things like that. This combination is great for somebody who is in a profession where they have to schmooze people. This is like really good for that. So for some reason, I said a fundraiser, which is crazy because I don't know why I thought that way. But let's say you are in some kind of profession where, you need to get money from people, like a fundraiser, or, I mean, this would be great for somebody who's in politics, because there is, the best politicians, the ones that really leave an impression with us, are the ones who are theatrical, who are larger than life. And then you combine that sense of fair play of the Libra, and the desire for peace, which Libra is also associated with, the peacemaker, the person who is the mediator. That would be a perfect example of that. A lawyer who is theatrical. I don't know if that's the more like the defense lawyer or the prosecutor, maybe both. If you've ever watched a trial on television or whatnot, the the ones who are like virtuosos, they're like fascinating to watch, because they there is that air of drama when they're talking about the case, and they draw you in, and it's like you're watching a movie. That's why they love to have courtroom dramas, because it's a perfect setup for the drama. Libra being an air sign, the air signs are connected to the intellect. So let's say you're some type of either a high school teacher or a college professor, where you're dealing with more sophisticated material, you can really capture the interest of your students with your teaching style. If it's entertaining, if it's dramatic. So that could be another possibility. And another thing that may really grab you is personal relations, or public relations. Actually, Libra rules the seventh house, which is the house of committed partnership, but also public relations. So being a PR person can mean that you're promoting someone else. Libra is really great at flattering people. You haven't been flattered until you've been flattered by a Libra individual. And you could say that sometimes it's laying it on thick when it comes to Libra because of, being a natural schmooze artist. I can't say schmooze. But that can come in handy if you are the kind of person who likes to be where the action is and wants to be where the A-list is, because you might be the perfect person to speak for a celebrity, for instance, or again, a politician if you're interested in hanging out in that world. If you ever decided to get involved with the media, you probably would favor the celebrity type of reporting, or if you were writing about it. In terms of love, this is a very romantic combination. Leo is a master of the game when it comes to trying to woo someone, and that larger than life type of romantic inclinations. And because Libra is 2 signs over from Leo, you might very well have Venus in Leo. And if so, in some cases, depending on the degree, you might even have a conjunction between your Venus and ascendant. And that might increase your physical attractiveness, your appealing qualities. But it can also lead you to be very romantic with Leo. With Venus and Leo, there's more of a tendency to be very show-offy in love, meaning that you believe that your romance is the grand romance in life, and you may, go on social media and post pictures of your anniversaries, and just like maybe you do like over the top things to celebrate. But, life for Leo is celebration, and Libra is the perfect dinner guest. So I would say Leo is probably the second best, if not, right, definitely right up there. So I always say to Libra to examine how relationship, the role it plays in your life, because when somebody has a prominent Libra, in the sun, that's very prominent, they may really identify themselves through the relationship that they're in, and that can sometimes lead to a person being a serial monogamist, where they're going from one relationship to the other, which, I mean, that's fine to have relationships, but make sure that you're not afraid to be alone, and that you have the ability to be able to become self-actualized, which the sun is the main influence with, because of your own sense of self, identity, versus like, I'm in this relationship and that's what makes me me. And, there's no denying that that is really a part of who you are. But with Leo rising, that sense of pride and having to kind of keep up appearances might be present sometimes. And that could extend to your relationship status. And so if you're the kind of person that feels uncomfortable if you're not in a relationship, that somehow poorly reflects on you, definitely think about that, because that is not true. And that way you avoid relationships that don't really serve you. All right, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.